Yeah, welcome back, everyone. I want to touch on this topic that says that you are what you eat. And when I talk about food, the natural man or the scientist or the nutritionist or whatever you call it, everybody thinks about the natural food we eat through the mouth. Although it is beneficial, but just to a little amount to what I'm supposed to talk about right now. Because we as human, our body is just a house that carries the men who we are. We are not just this flesh. The 90%, the 95% of what we are is within. And that 95% does not depend on the natural food we eat. The natural food we eat is for the body to keep it standing and to nourish it wherever the way you like. And the nutritionist or the scientist, they will always tell you that you need to eat every day. You need to eat 3 times in a day, classes of food, all these things. They tell you that all these are important. I'm not against it. It's all okay, but I want you to understand that the main thing that makes you who you are, the main thing that drives you as a human being living on life, the main thing that gives you the energy and the spark of who you are is what you eat through your other senses. Because the natural man always thinks that we only eat through our mouth. The way you behave, the way you act, or whatever you do depends on what you hear, what you see, and the what you catch through your environment. This contributes 95% of who you are. That's why I say you are what you eat. If you always see negative things, or if you always listen to negative things, like some people are addicted to the mainstream media, to social media, or wherever. I'm not against all these things. But what I'm saying is that when it becomes an addiction, when you can't stay without it, it becomes problem. It causes you another thing, because now you are now looking on the media for information about how to run your life, when you are supposed to be running your life by your own self, when you have been created by God to be free. Now you depend on the media, and the media say this, they say that. Sometimes they pop fears on you, and you always read it, and all these things are causing depression and pain. And some people are so addicted to the extent that every day what they want to search is they want to see the figures or wherever, and they start being afraid. I want to tell you that all these things you're doing, they are like seed you're planting inside yourself. You're watching those mainstream, you're watching those things. They are like seed, they are going inside you. You listen to those things, they are going inside you, whether good or bad. Anything you listen to, anything you hear, they go inside you and they start to control your mind. They start to make you who you are. They start to drive you. They become your driving force. And when you start speaking like those things you hear and those things you listen to. And those things you see on those media, they are the words of men. What can the word of a man do? A word of a man will only put fear in you, or anger, or wherever, or put seduction in you, and make you to act the way you don't want to act. But if you eat the right words, if you eat the right things, if you see the right things, if you listen to the right words, these things are also like seed that goes inside you, and they bring forth fruits out of you. It becomes you. So that's why I say whatever you eat is who you are. The same way junk food affects the human body. The same way junk food can make you fall sick. That same way junk things from the media you hear or the ones you see, the same way they can cause you depression or pain. Because the junk food you eat acidifies your system, makes your system vulnerable to diseases and viruses, and destroys your immune system. And you still have option to build it if you want to build it. All you have to do is to refrain from the junk food. Replace it with the right food. And your acidity level goes down. And your alkalinity level increases. And you start living healthy. You don't need medication anymore. That's all you need to do. Sometimes people take medication when they are not supposed to. All you need is to control your food. The same way what we listen to affects us. If you listen to the wrong thing, it pumps in fear in you, and you start being afraid. They say this, they say that. You start hearing things, and you start seeing pictures. You start seeing figures, all these things. They start affecting your mind, and now you are afraid. But God didn't create you to be a fearful man, but because He have not given you the spirit of fear. He have given you the spirit of sonship, to have a sound mind. So how can you replace this junk informations you have in you? The way you can replace it is by reading the right books, listening to the right words. Form the habit of cutting off any conversation or watching anything, be it movie or wherever on social media, that causes you fear. Cut it off. Fast from it. Stay away from social media, stay away from mainstream media, because all these things are causing fear in you and depression. Because when fear comes, it leads to anxiety, and from there it goes into depression. That's why some people just commit suicide, or, they feel bad about themselves every day because of what they hear and what they listen to. So replace it with the right food. Eat rightly. Eat correctly. And you must understand that when you eat the right food, you become the right who God created you to be. What am I trying to say? What you have to understand is that I want you to understand the Bible as, many people see the Bible as a religious book. It's religious although, but that book is more of a psychological book. If you have read everything in life, if you have been the professor or wherever and you have not gone through the Bible, you are still not educated psychologically, because that is where you can find the whole information you need in life. If you eat the word of God in you, you become like God. Because the word of God is not a word of fear. It gives you faith to overcome things. And until you eat it regularly, then it will grow in you. That's when you start manifesting the things of God. You start being fearless. You start stopping being afraid of things. Then you can now conquer those fears, because you have something in you that conquers it. But if you didn't have those things in you that conquers it, you continue living in that fear and depression all your life. And this life is meant to be enjoyed. So why live in depression when you can easily enjoy life to the fullest? Cut all those things off. Start reading the word of God to become a God. Because even Jesus Christ in the Bible made us to know that we are God. Because I do hear some people say that you are not a God. How can you say we are not a God when Jesus Christ told us we are a God? Go to the book of John, you will see it there. John chapter 10 verse 30, I think so. He said, I and my Father are one. And the Jews asked him, why you say you are one with the Father? Are you a God? He now asked them, they picked a stone to stone him. He asked them, is it not written in your law that you are God? Have I not said that you are gods? What law is he talking about? He's talking about what was written in the book of Psalm chapter 82, I think. If you go to the book of Psalm chapter 82, read up all these things, you will see what it says. He said that they perish, they lack understanding, they don't know anything. He said that you are gods because you are the sons of the Most High God. So a God will beget a God. If God is your father, if you eat the word of God, you become God, because God is word. Because in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. And that word of God is what you need to eat. If you eat it, you become like God. You become God. You become fearless. You become unstoppable. You become a fire. No fear can penetrate you anymore. You become unstoppable. The things that stop others cannot stop you. Now you are not like that man who eats junk food every day, who gets junk information every day and living in depression. Now you live in peace. The best place to be is to live in peace. That's what I think. That's most of my messages. I like preaching peace, blissful life. I think that's why we are here on earth. If you're not having peace, if you're not living in bliss, what is the purpose of living? The main purpose is to be happy. So I want you to understand that wherever you are or wherever you do, try as much as possible to cut off any idea or any discussion that will lead you to fear, that is not uplifting your spirit. Anything that's not uplifting your spirit, cut it off. Don't be a monger of those news that will make you fear. Cut it off. I tell you, you can still live without it, because some people think that they need to know about all these things. You don't need to know it. These are the wisdom of men, which Jesus Christ told us that it profited nothing. It profited nothing. It is useless to the things of the spirit. The wisdom of men is useless to the things of the spirit. All you need is the spirit, just like the nutritionist will tell you that you need to eat every day. But I can tell you that this flesh you see profits just 5% of who you are. This flesh can stay 40 days without food. But if I tell you many without, many don't believe it. It can stay. You can try it. You can stay 40 days with the flesh without food. And it will be working. But they always make you think that you have to do this, you have to do that. No, you don't need all these things. What you need is the life of God in you. Bring in the word of God, eat it, read that Bible, read the word every day. It is your counselor. It is your guidance. Mostly in the time of pain, in the time of depression, in the time when you don't know what to do. Eat that word, continue reading it. Even when you are not understanding, continue reading it. It is like a seed you are planting. It will definitely produce fruit. When it produces those fruits, you start seeing the manifestation and the results. So do not depend on what they are telling you on social media or on the mainstream, because all these things will cause you pain, it will cause you fear, and fear leads to anxiety, and anxiety will lead you to depression. And like I told you, you have to be careful of your environment, because even your body has the ability of catching information. There are places you can be, your body will catch it, even you didn't see it, but your body already see it, because your body is operating in the subconscious. Your eyes also, you should be careful of what you look at. If you're looking at things that are not building your spirit, cut it off, stop listening to it. If there are things you see on social media that's always not good for you, cut it off, stop looking at it. Endeavor to be looking at the right thing. Endeavor to be hearing the right things. Build your spirit. Align your spirit with God. Be one with God, as He have told you. How can you do that? By reading the Word. By reading the Bible. Wherever you are or whoever you are, even if you are not a Christian, listening to me right now, One thing I want to assure you is that if you turn your mind away from those things that cause you fear, I bet you your life will change. You will start seeing things differently. Because those fear you see, they can never stop. They're just, one thing about life is that people like manipulation. They like to manipulate others. And if you fall for manipulation, then you are prey. You're not smart. You're not wise. You should not fall for any manipulation. You were created to be yourself. So why listen to what other people are saying when you can be your own creator? You are a God. You can create your own things. In your mind, you have the ability to create anything. God gave you the opportunity, the freedom to create the life you want. Any life you want to create, you can create it. That's why in the book of Proverbs, it says, as a man thinketh, so the man will become. So whatever you are thinking, that is how you will become. If you're always thinking fear, negative, and thinking how, you will start attracting those negative things. This has nothing to do with how rich or how poor you are. Everybody have the right to think positive, think big, think large. That is what I have for you. So be careful what you eat. Even though the physical food you eat wisely. Try as much as possible to reduce your acidity level. Because when your body becomes so much acidic, that is when it becomes vulnerable to all diseases. Everything comes in. You start attracting. But when your body is alkaline, nothing can affect you. You just be free like a bird. Yeah, I hope this message makes sense to you. You can get some information. You can also make your research. You can try this that I told you now. If you cut up all these informations that are not lifting your spirit, you can see how it can build you. You can see how your life will improve and change. Yeah, thank you very much.